And away we go. Episode 1107 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, July 7th, 2025, hours after massive Nationals news. Nats managing principal owner Mark Lerner, he on Sunday evening announced having fired Nats president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Rizzo and manager Davey Martinez. You know, the 2025 MLB draft gets going this Sunday night, July 13th. The Nats in that draft have the number one overall pick, and the team just fired its head of baseball operations and manager. The announcement came shortly after a 6-4 loss to the Boston Red Sox at Nationals Park on Sunday afternoon, completing a 3-game sweep, continuing a highly disappointing and concerning season for the Nats. Their rebuild is failing, and now the GM and manager who took the team into the rebuild have been fired mid-rebuild. There is a lot to discuss with what has happened here. Next segment, in-depth reaction to the news, and then the segment after that, conversation about the Nats debacle of a series against the Red Sox. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Hope that you had a nice July 4th weekend. We did, although we did with me having COVID. I got COVID. Second time that I've had COVID, as far as I know, because as we know, it's possible to have COVID and never know that you actually have COVID. But in terms of known instances of me having COVID, I had it in the summer of 2023, and now I've had it in the summer of 2025. This time has been better than the last time. The last time I got hit pretty hard. This time not as bad. But yes, COVID. A.K.A. the coronavirus, A.K.A. the Rona, the gift that keeps on giving. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Here's something that I enjoyed from July 4th weekend. Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels being mentioned in a rap song. The song is by J.I.D. and Eminem, is called Animals Part 1. The official lyric video for the song came out on YouTube on July 4th. Here is the portion of the song that includes the mentioning of our guy, Jayden Daniels. And the good news is that the mentioning of Daniels is crystal clear and readily apparent and super obvious. Here you go.
Monster. I'm a crazy man. I had to get into the game again. I'm seeing the lights. I'm looking at the lay of the land and make a man like I'm Jayden Daniels breaking in. Can't debate it.
Yeah, there you go. How fire was that? Huh? You didn't hear the Jayden Daniels reference? Really? How'd you not hear that? How could you miss that? Here you go again.
Monster. I'm a crazy man. I had to get into the game again. I'm seeing the lights. I'm looking at the lay of the land and make a man like I'm Jayden Daniels breaking in. Can't debate it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but that to me was as easy to understand as the happy birthday song, okay? I mean, come on. J.I.D. quote, I'm a crazy man. I had to get us in the game again. I'm seeing the lights. I'm looking at the lay of the land. I'm in command like I'm Jayden Daniels breaking in, end quote. I'm in command like I'm Jayden Daniels breaking in. Come on, how much clearer can you be? Anyway, props to our guy, Jayden Daniels, for being mentioned by the great J.I.D. Also on the show, I'll talk Wizards, Capitals, and Orioles. A major 3-team trade involving our Wizards became official on Sunday afternoon, and this is a trade that now is even more encouraging than it was supposed to be. I'll explain. The Caps, the bulk of their work this offseason would appear to be complete. I'll react to key comments from Caps Senior Vice President and General Manager Chris Patrick from a press conference this past Saturday morning. And the O's, they over the weekend swept 3 games at the Atlanta Braves. So the O's now are 24-15 since their 16-34 start to MLB's 2025 regular season. Although the insane rate of injury for the O's at catcher does continue. By the way, we on Sunday evening did learn of the full National League and American League rosters for the 2025 MLB All-Star Game, which will take place on Tuesday night, July 15th at the Braves at Truist Park in Georgia. The Nats do have 2 All-Stars. That news got buried on Sunday evening, but the Nats 2 All-Stars, left fielder James Wood and starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore. The O's have 1 All-Star, Ryan O'Hearn, who made the American League All-Star team as the starting DH. We learned that last Wednesday night. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Lots of feedback to something that I posted on X this past Thursday night and said on this past Friday's show, episode 1106, that Washington, D.C. has the number one first/second-year quarterback in the NFL and Jaden Daniels, and the number one first/second-year hitter in MLB, James Wood. Quite the combination for us. From Cash on X, heck yes, Al Galdi. Heck yes. Thank you for that, Cash. From T. Kennedy on X, please don't jinx it. Same was said when RG3, Bryce, Ovi, John Wall were all in D.C. Thank you for that, T. Kennedy. I hear you, but Jaden Daniels is not Robert Griffin III. That should be abundantly clear by now. The two are very different. The Commanders' great rookie quarterback in 2024, very different from the Skins' great rookie quarterback in 2012. From ZSkins33 on X, is that why the NBA draft lottery didn't get us Cooper? Thank you for that, ZSkins33. I don't know why the NBA draft lottery gods did us dirty and denied our Wizards the number one overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, but the gods did deny our team that pick, so no Cooper Flagg. Could you imagine the Commanders with Jaden Daniels, the Nats with James Wood, and the Wizards with Cooper Flagg? That would have been nice. From Pen V on X, James Wood is so darn good, wild that they got another one this quick after Bryce and Soto. Thank you for that, Pen V. What's crazy to me is that this is only the Nats' 21st season in D.C. In the grand scheme of things, not that long, 21 seasons. And yet the franchise during its time in D.C. has had four phenoms. Yeah, four phenoms. Four players who, in their teens/early 20s, were really good. Starting pitcher Steven Strasburg and outfielders Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, and James Wood. Most MLB teams are lucky to have had one such player over 21 seasons. The Nats have had four, and of course they got Wood via Soto. August 2nd, 2022 MLB trade deadline day, the trading of outfielder Juan Soto and first baseman Josh Bell to the San Diego Padres for 6 players, including 5 prospects. Among those prospects, James Wood. Want to let you know about a new sponsor of this podcast, Ingrained Floor Covering Solutions, which provides residential and commercial carpet and wood flooring solutions for the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and has been doing so for over 2 generations and over 40 years. Ingrained Floor Covering Solutions is a full-service wood flooring and carpet provider, wood floor cleaning, refinishing, and installation, carpet repair, carpet installation, and custom rug fabrication. Excellent and reliable work. And Ingrained Floor Covering Solutions self-performs all installations, no subcontractors. The person who you meet on the initial consultation or measurement will be the same person doing the actual work. The wood flooring in our house has taken quite a beating from our 2 small kids. This is exactly the kind of thing that Ingrained Floor Covering Solutions can fix. High-level wood floor cleaning and refinishing, screen and recoat, sand and finish, etc. And here's a special deal for listeners of this podcast. Visit ingrainedfs.com, mention that Al Galdi sent you, and you'll get a 10% discount. That's ingrainedfs.com. Mention that Al Galdi sent you, and you'll get a 10% discount. All right, please consider subscribing to this podcast. If you're not already doing that, subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you. Nationals managing principal owner Mark Lerner, he on Sunday evening announced having fired Nats president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Rizzo and manager Davey Martinez. Rizzo gone, Davey gone. A shocking, seismic announcement by Mark Lerner. Not because things are going well for the Nats right now. Things are not going well for the Nats right now, but because the widespread belief had been that major change for the Nats was unlikely to happen during the season, especially regarding the head of baseball operations, given that the Nats have the number 1 overall pick in a 2025 MLB draft that is starting in less than a week now. This Sunday night, July 13th. Said Mark Lerner in a statement, quote, "On behalf of our family and the Washington Nationals organization, I first and foremost want to thank Mike and Davey for their contributions to our franchise and our city. Our family is eternally grateful for their years of dedication to the organization, including their roles in bringing a World Series trophy to Washington, D.C. While we are appreciative of their past successes, the on-field performance has not been where we or our fans expect it to be. This is a pivotal time for our club, and we believe a fresh approach and new energy is the best course of action for our team moving forward," end quote. Mark Lerner named Senior Vice President and Assistant General Manager of Baseball Operations Mike DeBartolo as Interim General Manager and said that an interim manager will be announced, quote, "sometime on Monday," end quote. The Nats hired Mike Rizzo in July 2006, promoted him to interim general manager in March 2009, and removed the interim tag from his GM title in August 2009. The Nats hired Davey Martinez as their manager in October 2017, and Mike Rizzo and Davey Martinez, of course, led the Nats to their 2019 World Series championship. The Nats firing Mike Rizzo very much marks the end of an era. He took over a Nats baseball operations department that was in shambles off the Smiley Gonzalez scandal, and Rizzo's great work, especially when it came to trades, got the Nats to where they, from 2012 through 2019, were a machine. 8 consecutive winning regular seasons, 5 playoff appearances, 4 National League East titles, and a World Series title. But the Nats, since that 2019 World Series title, have fallen off a cliff. The Nats are in the midst of what is tracking toward being their 6th consecutive losing regular season, and beyond that, they are in the midst of a rebuild that, as I have been saying for weeks, isn't working. Our next segment will get into the specifics, but the Nats over the weekend got swept by the Boston Red Sox in 3 games at Nationals Park. The Nats now are at a new low point in MLB's 2025 regular season, 16 games below 500, 37-53, second worst record in the National League, second worst run differential in the NL, -86. That record and that run differential in this season number 5 of a rebuild are unacceptable. The Nats rebuild isn't working. 3 things are absolutely true about Mike Rizzo over his 16 years running Nats baseball operations. A, he was outstanding at trades. B, he, more than we'll ever know, had to, shall we say, manage up in working for the Lerner family. C, his work in MLB drafts was nowhere near good enough. All 3 of these things are true. All 3 of these things should be noted in any complete and objective analysis of Rizzo's tenure with the Nats. You know, he gets a free pass from a good number of people for the bad drafting. He shouldn't. The Nats' bad drafting and bad player development are the top reasons that this team has fallen off a cliff since winning the 2019 World Series. Mike Rizzo has not had a certified hit of a first-round pick in an MLB draft since third baseman Anthony Rendon in the 2011 MLB draft. Think about that. We're in 2025. You got to go back to the 2011 MLB draft for the last time that Mike Rizzo had a certified hit of a first-round pick. Now, there's time for recent first-round picks like third baseman Brady House and outfielder Dylan Cruz to prove to be hits. But right now, at this point in time, Mike Rizzo has not had a certified hit of a first-round pick in an MLB draft since Anthony Rendon in 2011. That is brutal. And Rizzo has had a frightening lack of success with non-first-round picks. The Nats' drafting and player development have been really bad for way too long. And so from that standpoint alone, Mike Rizzo deserved to be fired. Personally, I was fine with him getting until the end of this season to see what happened the rest of this season. But the Lerner family could wait no more. More on the Lerner family in moments. As for Davey Martinez, I almost consider him to be collateral damage. He was at the mercy of the players given to him by Mike Rizzo, and those players in recent years just have not been very good. Now, I will say this. There were problems with Davey Martinez managed Nats teams that drove me, and I know many of you, crazy. The mistakes on the base pass, the bad fielding, these are things that very much did fall on Davey Martinez and his coaching staff. So, Davey Martinez certainly is not blameless for the Nats struggles, but the manager, to me, very much takes a backseat to the head of baseball operations when it comes to who has the most power in an MLB organization these days and who bears the majority of the responsibility when it comes to how good or bad a team is. It's funny with Davey Martinez. He goes down as by far the longest tenured manager for the Nats since the franchise moved to Washington, D.C. in the 2004-2005 offseason, but also as the manager with the second worst regular season winning percentage among Nats managers since the franchise moved to D.C. His regular season record as Nats manager, 500 and 622. Only Manny Acta had a worse regular season winning percentage among Nats managers since the franchise moved to D.C. But I will always remember Davey Martinez fondly for how he, in the 2019 postseason, expertly navigated the Nats having a horrendous bullpen and aggressively used starting pitchers as relievers and guided the Nats to that World Series title. Davey was a G that postseason. He was masterful that postseason, to say nothing of, as best as we can tell, never losing the clubhouse at any point during his time as Nats manager. But, whatever you think about Mike Rizzo and Davey Martinez, there is a larger force in play here, and that is ownership. The Lerner family. Is it checked out? April 11th, 2022, we learned that the Lerner family had begun exploring selling the Nats. February 19th, 2024, President's Day 2024, we learned that the Lerner family was no longer exploring selling the Nats. I have never believed that the Lerner family still is not interested in selling the Nats. And if the Lerner family truly doesn't want to own this team or isn't all in on owning this team, and thus the team has lame duck ownership that won't properly spend on players and infrastructure, then there's very little hope. What should happen next for the Nats, in my opinion, is they hire a smart, forward-thinking, analytically inclined head of baseball operations who goes all in on modernizing the team's baseball ops in terms of analytics and sports science, including beefing up staffing and spending on the necessary tools. The Nats have been so behind in all of this stuff for years. What will happen next for the Nats, given their ownership? Who the heck knows? There's what should happen, and then there is what will happen. I know what should happen. I don't know what will happen. I don't know how you could know. The Lerner family, even when it was spending a lot of money on players, was not spending a ton on infrastructure. Well, the family got its World Series title before the patriarch, Ted Lerner, passed away in February 2023. Why should any of us have optimism that the Lerner family now all of a sudden is going to start spending properly on infrastructure? And so if you are a bright, young, rising MLB executive who wants to be a GM, why would you want to work for the Nats, given these concerns with ownership? It may be the case that the Nats won't truly be good again until they're sold, but who knows if/when that'll happen. Mike Rizzo said the following to Barry Svrluga, columnist for the Washington Post, in a text on Sunday night. How about this? Quote, "That's the job. I had a great run, navigated that ownership group for almost 20 years, end quote." I mean, that was something. Navigated that ownership group for almost 20 years. A, Rizzo wouldn't even name the ownership group. B, Rizzo talked about having to navigate the ownership group. That said so much about how Mike Rizzo truly felt about working for the Lerner family. Again, Rizzo, more than we'll ever know, had to manage up in working for the Lerner family. But what's also true is that his work in recent years left a lot to be desired. I, for years, have called Mike Rizzo the ninja because he has been ninja-like on trades. And he has been. He's an all-time great executive on trades. But the drafting and player development became a real problem. And you know what else? His free agent signings became a real problem, too. And it is true that he was not given a great budget with which to work, okay? But what's also true is what Rizzo did with that budget was not impressive. And you look back at this past offseason, Rizzo had one whiff after another in terms of free agency. Designated hitter Josh Bell, starting pitcher Shinosuke Ogasawara, relievers Jorge Lopez, Lucas Sims, and Colin Poche. All of those signings whiffs right now. Now, that said, I do think you can make the case that Mike Rizzo is the second best executive in Washington, D.C. sports history. Number one is legendary former Redskins general manager Bobby Beathard. He is the unquestioned number one. But I do think you can make a compelling argument for Mike Rizzo being number two. So I don't want to lose sight of that. But the performance did wane in recent years. When it comes to why the Nats are where they are, there's plenty of blame to go around. Mike Rizzo does deserve a good bit of the blame. Davey Martinez and his coaching staff deserve a good bit of the blame. And heck yeah, ownership deserves a good bit of the blame. And while Rizzo and Davey now are out, ownership does remain. Hey, if you are planning a party, a family reunion, a wedding, a corporate gathering, and aren't sure where to start or what to do, no worries. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Catering by Uptown is run by the Pereiras, who are great Commanders fans and loyal supporters of this podcast. Catering by Uptown provides both great service and a great price. Catering by Uptown is a family business, and it specializes in handling everything so that you don't have to. Catering by Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Catering by Uptown is committed to meeting your needs and exceeding your expectations. Great service, amazing cuisine, and reliability are the foundation of what makes Catering by Uptown one of the most referred caterers throughout Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia. And know this, if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. Catering by Uptown offers the ability to coordinate services at over 100 of the best reception halls, vineyards, farms, historic homes, event venues, banquet facilities, and wedding venues in the area. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Well, we on Sunday evening learned of the full National League and American League rosters for the 2025 MLB All-Star Game, which will take place on Tuesday night, July 15th at the Atlanta Braves Truist Park in Georgia. The Nats have two All-Stars, left fielder James Wood and starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore, each guy very deserving. Each guy is having a terrific season. You could even argue that another Nats player, shortstop C.J. Abrams, is worthy of being on the NL All-Star team. But all of this rings a bit hollow, given what happened with the Nats over the weekend and given what is happening with the Nats this season. The Nats over the weekend got swept in 3 games against the Boston Red Sox at Nationals Park. Friday, an 11-2 loss to the Red Sox in a game in which the Nats allowed 7 runs in the top of the 5th. This was the Nats' annual July 4th home game with the scheduled start time of 11:05 a.m. Eastern. Saturday, a 10-3 loss to the Red Sox in a game in which the Nats allowed 7 runs in the top of the 3rd. Sunday afternoon, a 6-4 loss to the Red Sox in a game that included a rain delay of 17 minutes. The Nats now are at a new low point in MLB's 2025 regular season, 16 games below 500, 37-53. Second worst record in the National League, second worst run differential in the NL, -86. A very lackluster series for the Nats offensively, just 9 runs over the 3 games. The 11-2 loss to the Red Sox on Friday, the Nats scored just 2 runs and totaled just 6 hits, which were a double and 5 singles. The Nats did work 3 walks, but the Nats went 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Red Sox starting pitcher and former Nats starting pitcher Lucas Giolito, he allowed 1 run in 7 2/3 innings with 7 strikeouts. The 10-3 loss to the Red Sox on Saturday, the Nats scored just 3 runs, so the Nats did total 9 hits, but they were a triple and 8 singles, and the Nats worked no walks. The Nats went 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And the 6-4 loss to the Red Sox on Sunday afternoon, the Nats scored 4 runs, even though the Nats totaled 12 hits and 6 walks and went 4 for 11 with runners in scoring position, but 11 of the 12 hits were singles, a double and 11 singles. So Red Sox ace Garrett Crochet allowed 2 runs in 5 innings with 7 strikeouts, but he gave up 9 hits, issued 2 walks, and threw 98 pitches. The Nats made him work. Brady House had a good game. It was good to see that. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 7 batter, went 3 for 4 with an RBI single, 2 other singles, and a walk. Also, over the weekend, the return of Keibert Ruiz. The Nats on Friday morning announced having reinstated Ruiz from the 7-day concussion injured list. The Nats on June 24th announced having placed Ruiz on the 10-day injured list with a head contusion, and the Nats on June 27th announced having transferred Ruiz to the 7-day concussion injured list. The Nats on Friday morning announced having option catcher Drew Millis to AAA Rochester. Ruiz in the 11-2 loss to the Red Sox on Friday as the Nats starting catcher and number 8 batter, 1 for 4 with a single. Ruiz in the 10-3 loss to the Red Sox on Saturday as the Nats starting catcher and number 8 batter, 1 for 4 with a single and an RBI fielder's choice grounder. He did not play on Sunday. The Nats starting pitching in the team getting swept by the Red Sox over the weekend was really bad. The 11-2 loss to the Red Sox on Friday, Michael Soroka officially allowed 7 runs in 4 innings. He gave up 9 hits, which were 2 doubles and 7 singles. He issued a hit by pitch. He did have 6 strikeouts versus 2 walks, and he did throw a lot of strikes, 93 pitches, 60 strikes, 33 balls. But Soroka now for this regular season, 12 starts, ERA of 5.40. The peripherals do remain good. WHIP of just 1.14, strikeouts per 9 innings of 9.95. But the run prevention has been bad. And ultimately, the run prevention is what matters the most when you're a pitcher. Soroka was on the 15-day injured list April 4th, retroactive to April 1st to May 7th due to a right arm bicep strain. The 10-3 loss to the Red Sox on Saturday, Mitchell Parker allowed 9 runs, 4 earned in 6 innings. He gave up 10 hits, which were a home run, a triple, 4 doubles, and 4 singles. He did have 4 strikeouts versus 1 walk, and he did throw a lot of strikes, 95 pitches, 66 strikes versus just 29 balls. Parker now for this regular season, 18 starts, ERA of 4.72, WHIP of 1.38. And also with this game was the Nats defense being awful. A 2-run first for the Red Sox began with a fielding error by third baseman Brady House, who botched the fielding of a grounder off the bat of Nate Eaton. And a 7-run third for the Red Sox featured multiple defensive miscues by the Nats. So right fielder Dalen Lyle had trouble picking up the baseball on a 2-out 2-run triple by Jarren Duran to right center field for a 5-0 Red Sox lead. Parker then committed a 2-out run-scoring fielding error as he whiffed in a backhanded attempt at a grounder off the bat of Abraham Toro for a 6-0 Red Sox lead. Parker then, on the very next pitch, gave up a 2-out 2-run homer by Ceddanne Rafaela to left field for an 8-0 Red Sox lead. And then 2 pitches later, first baseman Nathaniel Lowe blew the fielding of an opposite field grounder off the bat of Nate Eaton for what was scored a 2-out double. Really bad defense by the Nats, who are not a good defensive team. The Nats for this regular season, as of games through Saturday, were number 24 out of 30 MLB teams, and Sports Info Solutions defensive runs saved at minus 18, and we're tied for number 27 out of 30 MLB teams in StatCast outs above average at minus 18. And the 6-4 loss to the Red Sox on Sunday afternoon, Shinosuke Ogasawara got ripped in his MLB regular season debut. The Nats, this past January 24th, announced having agreed with Ogasawara on a 2-year contract, which was worth a reported $3.5 million, and also reportedly included in the cost for the Nats was them paying a $700,000 posting fee to his team in Japan's Nippon Professional Baseball Organization, the Chunichi Dragons. The Nats signing Ogasawara marked the first time since the franchise moved to Washington, D.C. in the 2004-2005 offseason that the Nats signed a player directly from Asia. The Nats way late to the party on signing players directly from Asia, but hey, better late than never. This season is Ogasawara's age 27 season. The Nats on Sunday morning announced having recalled him from AAA Rochester, but he struggled. He allowed 4 runs in 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 5 singles. He issued a hit by pitch. He did issue no walks. He recorded 2 strikeouts. He threw 55 pitches, 35 strikes versus 20 balls. All 4 of the runs that he allowed came in the top of the first inning, which he gave up a 1-out 2-run homer by Trevor Story to left field for a 4-0 Red Sox lead. The homer went a projected 429 feet per StatCast. We have talked a ton about the Nats bullpen being terrible, and it is. But do you know that the Nats for this regular season are just 26 out of 30 MLB teams in starting pitching ERA, 4.75? Every regular Nats starting pitcher other than Mackenzie Gore has an ERA of at least 4.71. The Nats bullpen in the team getting swept by the Red Sox over the weekend. Bad in Game 1, but good in Games 2 and 3. The 11-2 loss to the Red Sox on Friday. 4 Nats relievers officially combined to allow 4 runs in 5 innings. But the 10-3 loss to the Red Sox on Saturday. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run unearned in 3 innings. And the 6-4 loss to the Red Sox on Sunday afternoon. 6 Nats relievers combined to allow 2 runs in 6 1/3 innings. Zach Brixey, he in the 11-2 loss to the Red Sox on Friday officially allowed 2 runs in 1 inning. He and the Red Sox's 7-run fifth gave up an RBI single, a 2-run double, a walk, and another RBI single. The Nats on Saturday afternoon announced having optioned Brixey to AAA Rochester. How about the transactional travels of Ryan Ludis? The Nats on Friday morning announced having recalled Ludis from AAA Rochester. This just 1 day after optioning him to Rochester as the corresponding roster move to reinstating reliever Andrew Chafin from the 15-day injured list. Ludis in the 11-2 loss to the Red Sox on Friday allowed 2 runs in 2 innings. He in the top of the 8th gave up a 1-out first pitch 2-run homer by Trevor Story to left field for an 11-1 Red Sox lead. Ludis in the 10-3 loss to the Red Sox on Saturday did toss a perfect top of the 7th, but the Nats on Sunday morning announced having optioned Ludis to AAA Rochester. But the most notable item with the Nats bullpen over the weekend was the return of Mason Thompson. He in the 6-4 loss to the Red Sox on Sunday afternoon tossed 2/3 of a scoreless inning in his first appearance in a Major League regular season game since September 10th, 2023. He in the top of the 8th faced 4 batters and got 2 outs. The Nats on Saturday afternoon announced having returned Thompson from his minor league rehab assignment and having activated him from the 60-day injured list, which he had been on since November 4th. This due to Tommy John surgery that he underwent all the way back on March 1st, 2024. Welcome back, Mason Thompson. No game for the Nats on Monday. Next up for them is a 3-game series at the St. Louis Cardinals. Game 1, Tuesday night at 7:45. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2, Wednesday night at 7:45. Mackenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3, Thursday night at 7:45. Michael Soroka will be the Nats starting pitcher.
Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, and maybe even a whole new life. So why not start the journey today? There's over a dozen languages available to learn at your own pace so you can achieve your goals with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm finally learning French after taking classes in high school and thrilled to finish what I'd started years ago. And my favorite part about Babbel is that it's dialogue-based. It helps me to actually practice conversations, and the speech recognition ensures I'm saying words correct them all. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/bluewire. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/bluewire, spelled BABBEL.com/bluewire. Babbel.com/bluewire. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Lowe's knows how to help you save. This July 4th, get up to 40% off select Maytag laundry appliances. Plus, get an additional 10% off when you buy 2 or 3 select major appliances. And when you buy 4 or more, you'll save an additional 20%. Find the right appliances and features that fit your home's unique needs and style. Shop Maytag 4th of July deals at Lowe's. Valid through 7/9. See Lowe's.com for details. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Selection varies by location.
So the NBA's moratorium period for the 2025 offseason ended on Sunday at 12:01 p.m. Eastern. That was when signings of external unrestricted free agents could become official and when most trades could become official. And our Wizards on Sunday afternoon announced a 3-team trade that had been a 2-team trade. The Wizards on Sunday afternoon announced having acquired C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, Cam Whitmore, and a second-round pick in the 2027 NBA draft as part of a 3-team trade with the New Orleans Pelicans and Houston Rockets. So the Wizards traded Jordan Poole, Saddiq Bey, and the draft rights to Georgetown product Micah Peavy, the 40th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft to the Pelicans. The Wizards traded second-round picks in the 2026 and 2029 NBA drafts to the Rockets. We all the way back on June 24th had reports that the Wizards had agreed to trade Jordan Poole, Saddiq Bey, and the 40th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft to the Pelicans for C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick. But we this past Saturday afternoon had reports that the Wizards had agreed to trade second-round picks in the 2026 and 2029 NBA drafts to the Rockets for Cam Whitmore, and that trade got blended into this trade between the Wizards and Pelicans. I love the Wizards getting Whitmore essentially for 2 second-round picks. That to me is a steal, especially when you consider that our rebuilding and tanking Wizards have a horde of second-round picks. Cam Whitmore is entering his age 21 season. The Rockets took him out of Villanova with the number 20 overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft, and he already has shown that he could score. Whitmore, over his 2 regular seasons with the Rockets, did play in just 98 of a possible 164 games and made just 5 starts, but he had averaging just 17.4 minutes per game, averaged 10.8 points per game, and shot 35.7% on threes. He's a local. Whitmore attended Archbishop Spalding High School in Severn, Maryland. But here's my biggest takeaway with Cam Whitmore. The Wizards trading for him gives them a whopping 9 players taken in the first rounds of the last 3 NBA drafts. Bilal Coulibaly and Cam Whitmore from the first round of the 2023 NBA draft. Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, A.J. Johnson, and Dylan Jones from the first round of the 2024 NBA draft. And Trey Johnson and Will Riley from the first round of the 2025 NBA draft. Our rebuilding and tanking Wizards, 9 players taken in the first rounds of the last 3 NBA drafts. What Monumental Basketball president Michael Winger and Wizards general manager Will Dawkins are doing is very smart. Take as many swings as possible with as many high upside players as possible and see what connects. I'm a big fan of this approach in an NBA rebuild. Just keep swinging. And if you only connect a few times, that can be enough. This 3-team trade sets up the Wizards to have around $100 million in salary cap space next offseason, though that cap space may be used to take on more bad contracts for the purpose of acquiring more draft capital. C.J. McCollum is on an expiring contract. He's entering his age 34 season and 13th NBA season off being taken by the Portland Trail Blazers with the number 10 overall pick in the 2013 NBA draft at a Lehigh. But McCollum still can play. He, for the Pelicans, this past regular season over 56 games, shot 37.3% on threes and averaged 21.1 points per game. Kelly Olynyk is on an expiring contract. He's entering his age 34 season and 13th NBA season off having been taken by the Dallas Mavericks with the number 13 overall pick in the 2013 NBA draft at Gonzaga. Olynyk, as a member of the Boston Celtics, famously torched our Wizards in their 115-105 loss at the Celtics on May 15th, 2017. In Game Game 7 of that Eastern Conference semifinal series in the 2017 NBA playoffs. Olynyk in that game in a fourth quarter that the Wizards lost 30-26, scored 14 points in 10 minutes, 32 seconds, and he for the game had 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists versus 1 turnover in 28-22 off the bench. The Wizards acquired Jordan Poole in the Chris Paul trade. The Wizards on July 6, 2023, a few hours after the end of the NBA's 2023 moratorium, officially announced having traded Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors for Poole, Ryan Rollins, Patrick Baldwin Jr., a 2030 first-round pick, a 2027 second-round pick, and cash considerations. Poole was so much better for the Wizards in his second season with the team as compared to in his first season with the team. Poole for the 2023-2024 regular season had a true shooting percentage of just .529, but he for this past regular season had a true shooting percentage of .591. A true shooting percentage, a version of shooting percentage that accounts for threes being worth more than twos and that accounts for free throws. And then there is Saddiq Bey. The Wizards on July 12th, 2024 officially announced having signed Bey as an unrestricted free agent, but he never played in a single game for our Wizards. He spent the entire 2024-2025 season recovering from a torn left ACL that he suffered on March 10th, 2024. Bey is a local. He went to DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, and then went to Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C. Let's talk Capitals. They on Sunday morning announced having re-signed restricted free agent forward Hendrix Lapierre to a one-year, one-way, $850,000 contract. And so all of the Caps' significant free agents this offseason now have signed contracts. The majority of these free agents have left the Caps. So the two notable re-signings by the Caps in terms of free agents this offseason, Lapierre and unrestricted free agent winger Anthony Beauvillier. The Caps this past Thursday night announced having re-signed Beauvillier to a 2-year, $5.5 million contract. But otherwise, a whole lot of departures, most if not all of which were expected. But unrestricted free agent center Lars Eller signed with the Ottawa Senators. Unrestricted free agent winger Andrew Mangiapane signed with the Edmonton Oilers. Unrestricted free agent winger Taylor Radish signed with the New York Rangers. Unrestricted free agent defenseman Alexander Alexeyev signed with the Pittsburgh Penguins off being non-tendered by the Caps. Unrestricted free agent defenseman Ethan Bear signed with the New York Islanders. He got a one-year, two-way NHL/AHL contract. And unrestricted free agent goaltender Hunter Shepard signed with the Ottawa Senators. They signed him to a two-way NHL/AHL contract. Also, the Caps on Saturday morning announced having signed the man who they took with the number 27 overall pick in the 2025 NHL draft, forward Lyndon Lakovic, to a 3-year entry-level contract, and announced that he's expected to be loaned to the Moose Jaw Warriors of the Western Hockey League for the 2025-2026 season. The Caps this past Thursday afternoon announced having signed the man who they took with the number 37 overall pick in the 2025 NHL draft, forward Milton Gastrine, to a 3-year entry-level contract, and announced that he's expected to be loaned to a team in his native Sweden for the 2025-2026 season. And Lyndon Lakovic and Milton Gastrine participated in the Caps 2025 development camp, which started this past Tuesday, July 1st, ran through this past Saturday, July 5th. It took place at MedStar Capitals Iceplex in Arlington, Virginia. Caps Senior Vice President and General Manager Chris Patrick, he on Saturday morning did a post-development camp press conference during which he addressed the Caps offseason, which isn't necessarily done, but would seem to be mostly done. Keep in mind some of the Caps' other notable moves this offseason. The Caps on June 28th, what was day 2 of the 2025 NHL draft, announced having traded defenseman Chase Prisky and a 4th-round pick in the 2025 NHL draft to the Minnesota Wild for defenseman Declan Chisholm and a 6th-round pick in the 2025 NHL draft. And the Caps on June 30th announced having signed Chisholm to a 2-year, $3.2 million contract off him having been set to be a restricted free agent this offseason. And the Caps on June 26th announced having traded a 2nd-round pick in the 2026 NHL draft and a 6th-round pick in the 2027 NHL draft to the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers for forward Justin Sourdif. And the Caps on June 28th announced having signed Sourdif to a 2-year, 3-year, $1.65 million contract off him having been set to be a restricted free agent this offseason. What the Caps this offseason did not do is sign Nikolai Ehlers. Nikolai Ehlers had been the number one unrestricted free agent forward this offseason. The Caps reportedly were in on him, but the Carolina Hurricanes this past Thursday afternoon announced having signed Ehlers to a 6-year contract worth $8.5 million per season. From Caps insider Tarek El-Bashir of Monumental Sports Network in a post on X this past Thursday afternoon, quote, "The Caps were indeed in on Nikolai Ehlers until the end. On the ice, the fit was there for the player and team. He chose Carolina," end quote. Chris Patrick's press conference on Saturday morning began with this exchange between Tarek El-Bashir and Patrick, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Tom Gallitti of NHL.com and Patrick.
Hey, Chris, can you kind of walk us through what happened with Ehlers and kind of what the plan is going forward?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk specifically about players, especially players that are signed with another team. But yeah, I mean, I think we looked at free agency as July 1 approached. Some big names came off the board that would have been interesting for our group that we were evaluating. Stayed with their current teams, and then I think we looked to try to do something big, and it didn't go our way. And but I'm excited. I think I think we did a lot of our free agency work in the season, re-signing guys like Chychrun, Dowd, and Logan, and Chucky, and bringing Bo back, I think, is huge for our group. He's a versatile guy, can move around the lineup. He's showed he's got chemistry with all four of our lines, and we have some cap space now. We have some young kids that are going to get a good opportunity to compete for a spot in camp, and we'll see where it goes.
Is that the plan, stay with what you have, or are you try to explore the trade market?
Yeah, we'll explore the trade market, see what's out there. We've sent a lot of picks out the last few weeks, so we're going to have to make sure we're prudent with how we do it. But, I think there potentially could be some interesting names out there. I've seen some of the media reports thinking it's going to be a very busy offseason trade-wise. I'm not exactly sure the basis for that. I mean, I think a lot of teams are in a decent spot cap-wise, so but we'll see what happens.
Well, the Caps signing of Nikolai Ehlers, to me, would have been nice, but wasn't necessary. The Caps this past season were an elite offensive team, and the Caps, in what is proving to be a successful retool, have young players who still can emerge. I earlier this segment mentioned one of those players in Hendrix Lapierre, who the Caps took with the number 22 overall pick in the 2020 NHL draft. The Caps also have winger Ivan Miroshnichenko, who the Caps took with the number 20 overall pick in the 2022 NHL draft. The Caps remain in this delicate territory of being a win-now team that's trying to get younger. We on Saturday morning had this exchange between Tarek El-Bashir and Chris Patrick.
How delicate is that balancing act when you've got young guys who are kind of knocking on the door, but you also have a team that just won the Eastern Conference and wants to go even deeper to, winning now and maybe having some young guys that will take a little bit of time?
Yeah, it's a hard balance, and you're always trying to find the right fit. I mean, for me, what I look at over the past couple of weeks, there's a couple of things I've looked at. The Florida Panthers, Brad Marchand and Seth Jones were not on their team in September, right? They were huge contributors in the playoffs. They made adjustments as the season went on. They took advantage of opportunities that were there. So I think that's the same mentality that we have to have. Second, I look at our team right now versus where our team was last year. We don't have Lars, we don't have Taylor Radish, we don't have Andrew Mangiapane, but the rest of the team is back, and we have some young guys filling in their holes. So, hopefully those young guys can step up. And I'm not going to say they're going to fill in to the level those guys play, but it's not like we lost, a big, huge group of players off our team. We're adding to pieces that we feel like are pieces that we can replace.
Well said by Chris Patrick, and the work that he and Caps president of hockey operations, Brian McClellan, have done in this Caps retool has been superb. The Caps this past regular season, number 1 in the Eastern Conference and number 2 in the NHL in points, 111. Number 2 in the Eastern Conference and tied for number 3 in the NHL in goal differential, plus 56. Also from Chris Patrick this past Saturday morning was him confirming that Clay Stevenson now is the Caps' number 3 goaltender. We know that Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren are the Caps' numbers 1 and 2 goaltenders, respectively. But the departure of Hunter Shepard does now mean that Clay Stevenson is the Caps' number 3 goaltender. Chris Patrick on Saturday morning was asked if he is comfortable having Clay Stevenson as the Caps' number 3 goaltender. Here was Patrick's answer.
Yeah, no, we're comfortable. I mean, Clay needs a chance here. He's kind of, been behind Shep for most of his pro career, so he needs a chance to really be the guy and show that he can do it and carry the heavy workload. So I think he's in the right spot in his development, plan for that.
Well, while we are reviewing the Caps offseason, we should mention the biggest contract that the Caps have signed a player to this offseason, the contract extension for defenseman Martin Fehervary. The Caps this past Tuesday afternoon, July 1st, what was day 1 of free agency in this NHL offseason, announced having re-signed Fehervary to a 7-year, $42 million contract extension that'll begin with the 2026-2027 season, his age 27 season. He had been set to be a restricted free agent in the 2026 offseason. And as we heard Chris Patrick say, the Caps this past season did a lot of their work for this offseason in signing 5 players who had been set to be unrestricted free agents this offseason to contract extensions. The Caps on January 27th announced having signed goaltender Logan Thompson to a 6-year, $35.1 million contract extension. The Caps on March 3rd announced having signed goaltender Charlie Lindgren to a 3-year, $9 million contract extension. The Caps on March 25th announced having signed defenseman Jacob Chikrin to an 8-year, $72 million contract extension. The Caps on March 27th announced having signed defenseman Dylan McElrath to a 2-year, $1.6 million contract extension. And the Caps on April 16th announced having signed center Nick Dowd to a 2-year, $6 million contract extension. The Caps this past season did a lot of their work for this offseason.
You just realized that you needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people that you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Well, in the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Just go to Indeed.com/BWN right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Well, the Orioles over the weekend played a series at the site of this year's MLB All-Star Game, the Atlanta Braves Truist Park. We on Sunday evening learned that the O's do have just one All-Star, Ryan O'Hearn. He made the American League All-Star team as the starting DH. We learned that this past Wednesday night. Orioles second baseman Jackson Holliday, at least as of now, is not an All-Star. But the O's over the weekend put forth an All-Star caliber showing, a 3-game sweep at the Braves. 3 checks, Joe Angel, in the win column.
And the Orioles again in the win column.
Yes, Joe, the win column. Friday night, a 3-2 win at the Braves. Saturday, a 9-6, 10-inning win at the Braves. Sunday, a 2-1 win at the Braves in a Roku game with an 11:36 a.m. first pitch. The O's in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 40-49, including 24-15 since their 16 34 start. The O's over their last 39 games have been so much better than the team was over its first 50 games. If you're curious about the managerial breakdown for this regular season, the O's under Brandon Hyde, 15-28. The O's under interim manager Tony Mansolino, 25-21. Now, the O's authored this 3-game sweep at the Braves over the weekend, despite the offense only being good in one of the 3 games. So that was the 9-6-10 inning win at the Braves on Saturday. The O's in that game scored 9 runs on just 8 hits. How? Well, 7 of the 8 hits were extra base hits. So the 8 hits were 3 home runs, 4 doubles, and a single. And the O's worked 5 walks. And the O's went 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position. And the O's did all of this despite striking out 15 times. But the 3-2 win at the Braves on Friday night, the O's scored just 3 runs, a total just 7 hits, worked just 1 walk, and went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, though the 7 hits were 2 home runs, a double, and 4 singles. And the 2-1 win at the Braves on Sunday, the O's scored just 2 runs, in total just 6 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 4 singles. The O's did draw 4 walks, but the O's went just 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position, although Jackson Holliday had a big game. He is the Orioles starting second baseman and number 1 batter, went 4 for 4 with a 2-run homer and 3 singles. He did get thrown out in an attempted steal of second base. More comings and goings for the O's in terms of injuries. The O's are in the midst of a second consecutive season in which they are being hammered by injury. Now, 2 key players are back, Jordan Westburg and Tyler O'Neill. Jordan Westburg in the 3-2 win at the Braves on Friday night returned from a 5-game absence caused by a sprained left index finger. He has the Orioles starting third baseman and number 2 batter, went 3 for 4 with a solo homer and 2 singles. And then Westburg in the 9-6-10 inning win at the Braves on Saturday as the Orioles starting third baseman and number 2 batter, went 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer. He hit Orioles a 3-run third, had a 1-out 2-run homer on a bomb to center field for a 3-2 Orioles lead. The homer winner projected 461 feet per Statcast. And Tyler O'Neill, the O's on Friday afternoon announced having reinstated him from the 10-day injured list. He had been on that since May 18th, retroactive to May 16th, due to a left shoulder impingement. O'Neill, who has a substantial injury history, was on the 10-day IL April 26th, retroactive to April 24th to May 9th. Due to neck inflammation. O'Neill in the 3-2 win at the Braves on Friday night as the Orioles starting DH and number 8 batter, went 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. And O'Neill in the 9-6-10 inning win at the Braves on Saturday as the Orioles starting right fielder and number 8 batter, went 1 for 5 with a solo homer. He and the Orioles 3-run third had a leadoff homer on a bomb to left center on a 1-2 pitch to cut the Orioles deficit to 2-1. That homer winner projected 445 feet per Statcast. So good to have Jordan Westburg and Tyler O'Neill back, but the Orioles' nightmare at catcher continues. The O's on Sunday morning announced having placed catcher Gary Sanchez on the 10-day injured list due to a right knee sprain. He was on the 10-day IL April 28th to June 14th due to right wrist inflammation, and he becomes the 4th Orioles catcher on an injured list. The O's on June 21st announced having placed catcher Adley Rutschman on the 10-day injured list retroactive to June 20th due to a left oblique strain. The O's on June 23rd announced having placed catcher Maverick Handley on the 7-day concussion injured list. And the O's on July 1st announced having placed catcher Chadwick Trump on the 10-day injured list due to a lower back strain. The 2 catchers currently on the Orioles' 26-man Major League active roster are Jacob Stallings and Alex Jackson. Who? What? Exactly. And the O's just traded for Jackson on Sunday. The O's on Sunday morning traded international signing bonus pool money and a player to be named later or cash considerations to the New York Yankees for Jackson. And the O's on Sunday morning announced having selected the contract of Jackson from AAA Norfolk. Also, the O's on Sunday morning announced having transferred infielder/outfielder Jorge Mateo to the 60-day injured list. But the O's top prospect is a catcher, Samuel Basallo, but the O's are not promoting him to the majors right now. That has become crystal clear. Presumably, this is due to developmental and or service time reasons. Now, personally, I'm fine with both reasons. I get how the game has to be played, but Basayo, per MLB Pipeline, is the number 11 overall prospect in baseball. The Orioles starting pitching in this three-game sweep at the Braves over the weekend was good in 2 of the 3 games. The 3-2 win at the Braves on Friday night, Charlie Morton was good for a 5th time in 7 starts. He allowed 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings with 7 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He gave up 6 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 4 singles. He issued 2 hit by pitches, but he threw a lot of strikes. 97 pitches, 66 strikes versus just 31 balls. The 9-6-10 inning win at the Braves on Saturday, the Jekyll and Hyde act of Dean Kramer continued. He allowed 5 runs in 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 8 hits, which were 2 home runs, 4 doubles, and 2 singles. He issued a walk. He recorded 3 strikeouts. He threw 87 pitches, 53 strikes versus 34 balls. The extent to which Kramer has been 2 different pitchers depending on where he's pitching is crazy. Kramer now for this regular season on the road, 12 starts, ERA of 5.83, whip of 1.53. But Kramer now for this regular season at home, 6 games, including 5 starts, ERA at 2.37, whip of 0.97. The 2-1 win at the Braves on Sunday. Trevor Rogers, how about this guy? 6 2/3 scoreless innings with 6 strikeouts. He gave up just 4 hits, which were a double and 3 singles. He issued 2 walks. He threw a lot of strikes, 88 pitches, 60 strikes versus just 28 balls. Trevor Rogers now over 5 starts at the major league level this regular season. ERA of 1.57, whip of 0.87. Maybe, just maybe, the Orioles trade for Trevor Rogers is gonna work out. I can't believe I'm saying that, but this guy has been lights out here. The O's this past July 30th announced having traded second baseman / outfielder Connor Norby and outfielder Kyle Stowers to the Miami Marlins for Rogers. And the Orioles bullpen in this 3-game sweep at the Braves over the weekend was good. Orioles relievers in the series combined to allow just 2 runs in 11 2/3 innings. 3 Orioles relievers in the 3-2 win at the Braves on Friday night combined for 3 2/3 perfect innings. 6 Orioles relievers in the 9-6-10 inning win at the Braves on Saturday combined to allow 1 run in 5 2/3 innings, and 3 Orioles relievers in the 2-1 win at the Braves on Sunday combined to allow 1 run in 2 1/3 innings. Overall, very good work. No game for the O's on Monday. Next up for them is a 3-game series against the New York Mets at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Game 1, Tuesday evening at 6:35. Brandon Young will be the Orioles starting pitcher. Game 2, Wednesday night at 7:05. Tomoyuki Sagano will be the Orioles starting pitcher. Game 3, Thursday afternoon at 1:05. Charlie Morton will be the Orioles starting pitcher. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Tuesday show, episode 1108. We'll have plenty for you on the Commanders and more. Neither the Nationals nor the Orioles play on Monday, so we've got some open real estate on Tuesday's show. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
I'm a crazy man, I had to get into the game again. I seen the lights, I'm looking at the later land and make a man like I'm Jaden Daniels breaking in, can't debate.